Well, ladies and gentlemen, I knew this was gonna happen. When did this happen? Like an hour before midnight? I was like, my goodness, such a late time to get denied. You know what I'm saying? Today we'll be reacting to Carney says Canada will retaliate against new U.S. tariffs after trade talks fail. Let's jump right into this, ladies and gentlemen.
Kate, take us through how this deal fell apart tonight.
Well, it happened less than an hour before midnight. U.S. Trade Representative Jamieson Greer was the one to announce the news, saying in his view, the U.S. was offering Canada a great deal, and it was Canada that called things off. He said they were willing to offer some concessions to Canada, including on sectoral tariffs, and he defended the offer that was on the table. Take a listen to what he said.
Canada declined to finalize the trade deal under the terms agreed earlier this week. Despite the U.S. offer to Canada.
Canada declined. This is United States Trade Representative, okay? Canada declined. So we know that the words may not be accurate on the side. That's what I'm basically trying to say. Canada declined to finalize the trade deal under the terms agreed earlier this week. Did Canada agree? Somebody please let me know. Did Mark Carney agree to these terms with the United States last week? Let me know, please. We fact checking, baby. I like to have fun in these videos. You know, we got to spice it up a little bit. Despite the U.S. offer to Canada
to receive the best treatment of any major exporter to our market, new demands and walkbacks of other commitments by Canada have upended the careful balance reached in the past days.
Because no deal was reached, the Trump administration is making good on its threat to add a new bucket of 50% tariffs. They take effect immediately on about $27 billion of Canadian exports, ranging from cement to hockey sticks, and set to hit Ontario, Quebec, and British Columbia hardest. The U.S. threatened those tariffs to try to pressure Canada to put U.S. booze back on their shelves and drop other retaliatory measures. But Greer says that Canada continues to plan to retaliate against the United States.
Why? I mean, aren't you glad that happened and now we're not wasting money? Why would you want to put American booze back on Canadian shelves, knowing nobody in Canada is going to purchase the American booze? They're not coming across the border and traveling here and supporting how they used to. If you put it in the shelves in their country, they might just boycott it. I'm gonna keep it 100. I feel like Canadians would just buy it out and destroy it just because the pettiness. But at the same time, you don't want to spend no money on it giving back to the U.S. consumer. I understand. So probably not. It's not gonna last.
States.
With all this, Kate, it does look now like things will or could escalate.
Yeah, these talks went right up to the deadline with Canadian negotiators spending most of today at the table. Both sides are blaming each other. Prime Minister Mark Carney said part of it came down to the U.S. making last-minute demands, but Canada does plan to hit back with dollar-for-dollar counter tariffs. A senior Trump administration official speaking on background said it's up to Canada if it chooses to retaliate, but escalation is a choice and that their sole interest remains protecting American jobs. At the outset of this intensification of talks, Carney said no deal is better than a bad deal, but Canadian negotiators are now set to leave Washington without a deal in hand.
All right, Kate McKenna, thanks for all your reporting tonight in Washington. Let's go to Ashley Burke now in Ottawa. Ashley, the Prime Minister's response was swift.
Yeah, Susan, the Prime Minister says that he is striking back since the U.S. is going ahead with these 50% tariffs on almost $28 billion of Canadian exports. Mark Carney says that he will match those tariffs dollar for dollar to hit the U.S. In a statement, the Prime Minister said that Canada has been trying to get American negotiators to lower Donald Trump's tariffs. They've been hitting some Canadian sectors hard, including aluminum, steel, auto, and lumber. Carney said in a statement that progress had been made during talks, but not enough. And as Kate mentioned, just as the U.S. is blaming the Canadian side, Carney is blaming the U.S. for talks breaking down. In a statement he wrote, "I have decided to suspend trade negotiations with the U.S. and have directed Canada's negotiators to return to Ottawa. Last-minute changes in the U.S. proposed terms were unfair, uneconomic, and called into the question the reliability of any deal."
Are these the same, agreements that the other representative of the U.S. just said that Mark Carney agreed on? even though he's saying that they spoke about it and it was unfair. So I don't think Mark Carney would agree on something. Let me know, please. We fact check it. Let me know, was that other stuff accurate?
So, Ashley, Ottawa faced pressure not just in Washington, but also domestically. How did that play into this breakdown?
Yeah, the Prime Minister had promised that the government wouldn't accept a bad deal and was going to have to sell whatever he signed to Canadians at a time when polling shows there's still a lot of animosity towards the U.S. and not a lot of support for making concessions. Manitoba's premier spoke out, saying that he thought that Canada could push for a better deal. The Prime Minister had asked premiers to put American alcohol back on the shelves to lock in, to secure an agreement. And Wab Kinew questioned if that would be giving up too much for a deal that accepts that Trump's tariffs are here to stay. Instead of speaking out, Ontario's Premier, Doug Ford, he went silent in recent days. And since the Prime Minister briefed premiers on this possible deal, but he just broke that silence by posting on social media that Team Canada needs to stand together more united than ever before. The Prime Minister has my full support for a strong response, tariff for tariff, dollar for dollar. Now, BC's Premier also posted online that Canada will always defend itself and its politeness should never be mistaken for weakness. Carney says that in the coming days, the government will announce more support for industries hit by Trump's tariffs, and he'll also be facing questions about why the talks broke down and what happens next.
Yes, unclear where
it was just
all
unfair.
this goes from here. Thank you tonight, Ashley Burke in Ottawa, rather. All right, senior business reporter Peter Armstrong, you've been on the phone taking notes. What struck me is that the U.S. got out first and said this was Canada's problem. We offered them something, they didn't take it, they're walking away, and the deal's done. Well, not a deal, but the breakdown.
And it's a significant breakdown. The tariffs that Ashley and Kate spoke about, 5% to Canadian exports, it'll shave off about 0.5 point of GDP. That's not the worst of it, though that's going to be bad. And it'll be very bad for the companies that are hit in it, much like the first tranche of tariffs. They won't hit evenly everywhere. Where they hit, though, they will hit very hard. And these were designed, these were purposely chosen to be the specific products that will have the most efficiency in leverage for the United States, pain for the Canadians, without causing too much damage in the United States. Tariffs, of course, will be paid by the American importer, whether that's a business or a household. But the tariffs themselves are only half of the problem. The fact that these talks have now broken off really deepens the uncertainty. It really calls into question what happens next. The senior White House official has said that there's no scheduled meetings. Carney has said he's called his people back. So how do we start to piece this back together? Wars of all kinds, shooting wars and trade wars are very easy to start. They're very hard to stop and to get back under control. The steps that need to be taken to get this back are now much further away. The counter tariffs that Mark Carney has vowed to go ahead with, a senior administration source has said if Canada retaliates, the president will be given options to level the playing field yet again. So we're into this cycle where Canada will retaliate, the Americans will retaliate to the retaliation, and that can even further erode a very bad situation. I reached out to a senior business leader in Canada tonight to say just how bad is this, and he had sent back one word: very.
Yeah, as you say, and I'm thinking about businesses who are under those tariffs now. As of now, they're facing those new 50% tariffs. What do they do in the coming days with their products?
So a lot of these companies leading up to the Tuesday deadline had already seen the demand for their products dry up. They had spent 2 weeks ago getting stuff out the door as quickly as they could, so it was at least in the United States to ship to customers. They spent the beginning of last week trying to finish that and move on to what are they going to do now. At a 50% tariff, a lot of these companies are simply priced out of the United States. We've seen them putting up notices on their website saying the prices are going to change because of the tariffs, some just removing American ability to order at all. This is going to be very difficult. There are businesses, to be totally honest, Susan, we've talked to businesses that say they won't survive if this was to go ahead. And now it has gone ahead. And it will get the cycle that this retribution for retribution threatens to take this into an even darker place. The uncertainty More than the tariffs, the uncertainty was the thing that's really weighed on the Canadian economy over the last 18 months. The uncertainty now is orders of magnitude bigger and more frightening and potentially more damaging.
Very briefly, the political calculus here, I mean, it also has ramped up now.
I mean, I think there will be books written about what has happened tonight. This is an enormously, monumentally important thing that has just happened that will have consequences for many, many years to come. What happened in that room is going to be the subject of a lot of people trying to figure out exactly what went wrong. There will be fingers pointed at who ramped up what and what side was responsible for this. We don't know. And until we know, I think it's better to keep our guessing to ourselves.
Exactly. Peter, thank you so much for everything. So the bottom line here is the tariffs are in place. The talks have broken down.
Let me know in the comments what you guys think about this, man. Share your honest thoughts and opinions. Please feel free to like, comment, subscribe, turn on post notifications. So this is ridiculous. It just keeps getting worse and worse. You know, up the tariffs, and nobody is bound to even survive now when it comes to doing business with Canada and the U.S. It's over. And that's kind of scary. You know, you got to think about the people that got businesses and stuff, and like, what are they gonna do? Now they gotta go back to like regular jobs. Not saying there's anything wrong with that, but you know, when you have a passion and you're doing something you love, you don't just want to give that up, especially in the hands of somebody else. It truly is unfair, ladies and gentlemen. It truly is. I'll catch you guys in the next reaction video. I'm getting a lot of thoughts in my mind right now that this is going to continue. So what the tariff rate percentage is supposed to continue to go up? What are we supposed to do for the future? When does this ever get better? So when Trump gets out of office, do those tariffs go away? Do those tariffs go away, or does a new president have to take those tariffs off? Let me know in the comments, please. Stay safe.